Morning, morning, monsters. Long time no see. I'm going to be talking about Ludum Dare. It's going to be starting, or Ludum Dare, it's going to be starting later tonight. And it's going to be the 48th event. And I've been doing it for quite some time. I've been doing it since Ludum Dare 8, which, according to my blog, because I did blog it, was 17th of April 2008. Yeah, just as I'm getting started in the games industry. So, for those of you who don't know, Ludum Dare is a 48-hour competition, and this weekend marks the 48th time, or the 49th time it's running, because there was a zero. I forget where we started counting on that. But yeah, so I, like many other people, was on the Game Dev Net forums back in the day, and it was kind of a terrible forum. I remember like a few posts there, but it was always a bit strange and a bit weird. It was such a mix of things. So when I found the Ludum Dare group in 2008, I was really grateful to find them. The IRC room was small at the time. It was a smallish group. Everyone in the group was pretty chill with game dev. There were amateurs, but it was a pretty sophisticated group. And this whole idea of making a game from scratch in a weekend, because back then it was from scratch. We didn't allow engines. In later competitions, engines were allowed, and it opened up to over time. But I always loved the go-getter demo spirit of the early days. It's a bit strange there for me. But the big thing for me, my experience of Ludum Dare, is I don't think the average experience of an entrant, because, well, first of all, a lot of people started later when the competition was a very different thing. But for me, it's been a huge smoking pile of failure mostly, and it's been one of the most valuable things I've done in my free time as a game developer. And I strongly encourage you to do it, and I strongly encourage you to fail. I mean, success is lovely, but failure is gorgeous. What do I mean by that? Well, my first Ludum Dare was very successful. It was the Swarms theme. I'm glad Mike still has a close place in his heart for the Swarms theme, because for me it was very special as well. And I did this Dune-esque 2D using PTK, which is like a GLFW equivalent. And yeah, it was fun. It had cute little GIF animations and sandworms that ate you, and I learned about void algorithms, and it was really, really useful. And it was a success. It was a roaring success. And then from Ludum Dare 9 onwards for a bit, I struggled. I was getting really busy at work. I didn't feel like I needed Ludum Dare as much, and every time I tried to enter it, I didn't make anything meaningful. And so sadly, I've lost a lot of those code, because I yeeted that code out, and I was like, Murr! And I just had the wrong attitude. I had totally the wrong attitude, because then what happened years later is I came back to Ludum Dare, Ludum Dare 14. I came back after doing like 3 or 4 failed ones, but I skipped. I missed, I want to say 12 and 13 I missed. And this is also just as Ludum Dare is starting to get bigger. I think there was some coverage, because back in those days Notch was in the community, and then he became internet celeb, and Ludum Dare got a huge spotlight on it, and it became this whole thing. But anyway, that aside, Advancing Wall of Doom happened, and I think that's the first time I tried to use Unity for the competition. It was not a huge success. In fact, it was dreadful, and I didn't like it at all. But I did learn Unity for the first time properly, properly throw myself at it. This is back when I think this was Unity had just come to the PC. And as much as I have a negative relationship with Unity now, over the years of my career, it did serve me quite well. And yeah, those early days of Unity were good. But yeah, the next one I went into Caverns. And it's a good example of failure and why I love it. Now, Caverns is not a very fun game. I did finish it, but it's not a very fun game. The reason I remember it fondly is because I had been playing around with Cellular Automata Generation, and Caverns was the first time I actually rolled it and applied it. And it was this lesson of, yeah, it's fun to read about these techniques, it's fun to, conceptualize around these techniques, but actually throwing the stuff I was reading about and stuff I was learning at a problem in a weekend was this hugely valuable leveling up tool. And over the years, I used Ludum Dare to level up and to push myself. And most of the times I failed. Between my first Ludum Dare 8, and now Ludum Dare 48, I think I have made 2 fun games. 2 games that I think are fun. Now, if my focus was on making fun games, I think I could have made a lot more in that period. But what I realized with the Caverns Ludum Dare is the thing I get out of Ludum Dare is failure. Failure is this hugely powerful thing. And occasionally I'd get ashamed of it, and then years ago I'd become very, very comfortable with it, because it doesn't matter. You're not going to let anyone down if you take part and you try something and you learn something and you walk away, with knowledge. Because there are people who try to win Ludum Dare and they just completely... Yeah, it's funny. I feel somewhat disconnected with the community now because it's so big, but it's still my special little thing. And I think for this weekend, I'm going to try and do something with it. But I want to talk about some of the stuff that I've learned over the years. So I played around with writing a game purely in JavaScript with no frameworks. That was a huge learning experience. One time I did a snowman game, and I did that at a Google hackathon, where I actually spent most of the weekend helping other people out with their problems. That was fun. It was at a time in my life when I was considering leaving the games industry, and it reinforced to me how much I love teaching. Really, just like how much I love helping people out and teaching people. And it almost led me to take a teaching role, but it taught me a lot about myself. That was also, the Snowman game was also when I played around with JavaScript canvases for the first time. Minimalist Hero, I did some stuff with physics engines, if I recall. In Unity, I think at the time 2D physics was hard or something, I can't remember. I'm trying to think now, going through all of these. Ooh, the puzzle idea, that was a big win. Going through, Advancing Walls of Doom. LD48 Caverns was interesting cave procedural generator. Discovery, there's a very key idea in Ludum Dare Discovery that recently I have been building on in a bigger project. I spoke about that in my last update video, but that is where I played around with it, and was also where I first got introduced to Delaney triangulation and ways of breaking up meshes, and I started really digging into Unity's mesh stuff. Tiny World, Ludum Dare 28 was the pure JavaScript, where I was like, I don't think you need JavaScript frameworks. I think JavaScript frameworks are kind of bullshit. Ludum Dare 25, You Are the Villain. I had just torn up a contract with Ubisoft. They had lied. Well, they had deceived me, and it was a whole thing. I told the story somewhere else. I'll tell the story again sometime in the future. But I'd torn up a contract. I was massively in debt, and I was like, do I like the games industry or not? And I literally came back to the UK and managed to get my old flat back because the landlady hadn't rented it out yet. But all my stuff was like going to Germany and being shipped back from Germany. It never arrived. Like, in the time I was there, my stuff hadn't arrived yet, and I had lost all my bonuses and everything, and my signing and everything. And so all the stuff I thought I'd be expensing, I had to pay out of my own pocket. But then this moving company, which was really expensive, I had to pay again for them to turn the shipment around. So I was in a flat with carry-on luggage, basically, a Chromebook, and huddled up against the heater because I had no blankets or anything, and it was really cold, and I had this Chromebook, and I made a game in a weekend. It wasn't a very good game. It was a thieving game, but it just invigorated me. Oh, that was right. Minimalist Hero was was my first Android game that I made in a jam. I'd made Android games before this, but I had done it in Unity with One Touch. That was right. Oh yes, Ludum Dare 28, you only get one. This was climbing up a building burning. This was just when Unity added their 2D stuff, and I played around with, had this like ragdoll body climber. Kind of, this is before, what's the sequel from Quap? The climbing version of Quap, it was before that, I believe. And yeah, it was just me playing around with that concept. Oh, I lied, this was another really fun game, and again, key to an idea I'm exploring at the moment in a bigger project, this and the puzzle one. This was the digging for dinosaurs. This was me digging into some shader model stuff, ray marching. Yeah, I think this is the first time I played around with ray marching, and it was quite, I threw away the ray marching idea. I did that post-competition, but yeah, it was really interesting digging up dinosaur bones and being quite careful about them. I really liked that one. I learned a lot about that, and as I say, after competition it led me on to, because the compo version was purely 2D, but afterwards it led me on to my first explorations of ray marching. So yay, because you know, dreams and medium and all that stuff. Marching ended up playing a big part of my life. I'm digging through my website. I am trying to maintain my website more because it's such a good resource. What did I do for LD42? I am trying to remember. Oh, that was the Twitch Plays Island integration game thing I did. LD26. Trying to remember here. Flood particles, mind block. I think I was doing fluid simulation with that, if I recall. This is why I need to write stuff up on my blog. 10-second, I do not remember what I was doing for the 10-second one. Gesture processor. Oh, I was playing around with drawing gestures with the mouse and doing gesture analysis stuff. I remember. See, it all comes back to me. These were so valuable. This was the climber one. Yeah, this was the climbing and the burning building one. The big thing for me was digging into failure. And, you know, the way to succeed at Ludum Dare, if you want to make a game, is to not try anything new. To basically take things you're comfortable with and combine them and make a polished thing, you know, as much of, like if you're doing the 48-hour competition, have most of it done in 24 hours and then spend 24 hours polishing. And that'll get you a fun game. And if that's your objective, which I think it is for a lot of people, great. My objective has always been, this is an interesting thing that I haven't played around with yet. Let me throw myself at the wall and try it, see what I can learn, and go from there. So do I know what I'm going to be doing for Ludum Dare 48 this weekend? Well, we wait to see the theme, because this is the other thing, is the theme drives, like, I never went into things thinking, oh, I should play around with Boyd's, or I should play around with this, or whatever. I always let the theme guide me. That's the other thing, you know, putting yourself in that open mind space, not going in with a strong intention. Usually I pick the tech ahead of it, and like engine or JavaScript or whatever. A bit risky. This time I'm still working on my OpenXR engine. It's very rough. So I probably will be making something in that, which, you know, is all just my own code and some library stuff that I've pulled from places. Yeah, that would be a VR game. That would be a VR game. It doesn't have to be VR, but that's what the engine's built for. Yeah. Let's see. In regards to skating, I probably will go skating and keep all that up. But yes, Ludum Dare, let's do it. Let's do it. So I hope I see you this weekend. I hope you try and learn something, or do something, or push yourself, or just try to finish a game. Because finishing a game, let's be honest, is a very wonderful feeling. I think I get different things out of it because, you know, I had a job in the games industry after my first Ludum Dare. I hadn't entered the games industry, or I just had entered the games industry. I was on placement maybe. I can't recall. It's like 15 years ago. Not 15 years ago. almost 15 years ago. It's like 13, 14 years ago. Oh God, yes, I would have been in the industry or just started in the industry. Whereas since then I've shipped a bunch of games. So for me, it's explory time. Explore, explore, explore. And I hope I see you all there. Other things, housekeeping while I'm on it. Adobe, work, lovely, but it is taking so much of my energy right now to just skill up and get comfortable with that and solve tech trouble. We see there's boxes and stuff around, and I thought, it's a story. It's a story I will tell sometime. But I do want to do the Dreams MIDI to OSC hacker thing on stream with Dreams. Because of Ludum Dare, I'm not going to be doing it this weekend. Maybe sometime next week. Yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen. Well, anyway, see you when I see you. And yeah, hopefully I'm back to a regular thing with these morning monster coffee sessions. Bye-bye now.